If you send Bitcoin to the wrong address, it's gone. Permanently. No undo, no support line, no way back. And it happens more often than people think. And every time you use Bitcoin, you're relying on something most people use without ever understanding. So what actually is a Bitcoin address and why does it matter this much? Once you understand this, you stop making beginner mistakes. I'm Sats, and today we're making Bitcoin addresses actually make sense. Let's keep it simple. So what actually is a Bitcoin address? A Bitcoin address is a unique identifier that tells the network where to send Bitcoin. Think of it like an email address. When someone wants to send you Bitcoin, they need your address. You share it freely, it's safe to give out, and anyone can send to it. But here's where it gets more interesting than an email address. A Bitcoin address is not just a label someone made up. It's mathematically generated from your private key. Remember the private key? The master password that proves you own your Bitcoin? Your address is derived from that key through a one-way mathematical process. That means anyone can go from private key to address, but nobody can go backwards from address to private key. The maths only works in one direction, and this is where most people tune out. But this is actually the part that keeps your Bitcoin secure. This is what most people miss about addresses. They look random because they are random. But they're not arbitrary. Every address is cryptographically linked to the wallet that controls it. Here's what a Bitcoin address actually looks like. It's typically 26 to 35 characters long. It's a mix of letters and numbers, and it usually starts with a 1, a 3, or the letters BC1 depending on the type of address. Those different formats are just different technical standards that have evolved over time. They all work. The BC1 format, called a native SegWit address, is the most modern and the most efficient. You don't need to memorize this, just recognize it. Now here's the thing that surprises most beginners. You don't just have one Bitcoin address, you have an effectively unlimited number of them. Every time you use a wallet app like Coinbase Wallet or a hardware wallet like Trezor, it can generate a fresh address whenever you need one. All of those addresses are controlled by the same wallet, the same private key, the same seed phrase. They're like different doors into the same room. Why does this matter? Privacy. If you reuse the same address every time, anyone can look up that address on the blockchain and see your entire transaction history. Every send, every receive, every amount. Because remember, the blockchain is public. Every transaction ever made is visible to anyone who looks. Generating a new address for each transaction makes it much harder to connect the dots between your different transactions. Most modern wallets do this automatically. It's worth knowing it's happening and why. Now here's the part that catches people out. What happens if I send Bitcoin to the wrong address? This is where the irreversibility of Bitcoin transactions becomes very real. If you send Bitcoin to a wrong address, and that address belongs to someone else, it's gone. There is no customer support. There is no chargeback. There's no transaction reversal. The Bitcoin network has no concept of mistakes. A valid transaction to a valid address is final. This is not a bug. It's a deliberate design choice. The absence of a central authority that can reverse transactions is part of what makes Bitcoin censorship-resistant and truly decentralized. But it does mean that the responsibility sits entirely with you. The rules are simple and non-negotiable. Never type an address by hand. Always copy and paste. Always send a small test amount first when sending to a new address, and always check the address before you hit send. First 4 characters. Last 4 characters. Every time. A single wrong character sends your Bitcoin somewhere it was never meant to go. There is a specific type of malware called a clipboard hijacker that waits for you to copy a Bitcoin address, then silently replaces it with the attacker's address before you paste it. So after you paste an address, always check it again visually before hitting send. First 4 characters. Last 4 characters. Every time. And here's something worth sitting with. Lost Bitcoin is actually part of Bitcoin's fixed supply story. Estimates suggest 3 to 4 million Bitcoin are permanently inaccessible, sent to wrong addresses, lost seed phrases, forgotten hard drives, gone forever, never to re-enter circulation. The effective circulating supply is already lower than 21 million. The scarcity is even more fixed than most people realize. Alright, let's bring it together. A Bitcoin address is a unique identifier, mathematically generated from your private key that tells the network where to send Bitcoin. It's safe to share publicly. Anyone can send to it. Nobody can reverse engineer your private key from it. You have an unlimited number of addresses, all controlled by the same wallet. Using a fresh address for each transaction protects your privacy on the public blockchain. Bitcoin transactions are irreversible. Sending to a wrong address means the Bitcoin is gone permanently. Always copy and paste addresses, never type them by hand, and always verify the first and last 4 characters before sending. And always send a test amount first. If you're going to use Bitcoin, you need to set up a wallet properly. Watch this next. It shows you exactly how to do it safely, how addresses are generated, and how your seed phrase controls all of them. Stack smart. Stay curious. See you in the next stack.